We have a brand new hospital going up at the top of the hill of Garrity Boulevard, and if you go out 3 more exits, we have another hospital being built. The needs for those 2 hospitals in the next 3 to 5 to 7 years is unbelievable. And if we don't get started now, we're going to be behind the gun to actually provide the kinds of skilled labor and workforce that this community is going to need, want, and need in order to provide the kinds of healthcare services for the communities as well. At this time, I'd like to introduce Craig Brown, because if there's any hard questions, I always refer to Craig Brown. Craig Brown will help us in terms of talking through these 2 building projects that we're looking at. Craig?
Thank you, Bert, and thanks to all our speakers. It feels good to be able to stand here today because this didn't happen overnight, and there's been a lot of work and a lot of effort going into the development concepts of where we're heading and what our Vision 2040 is all about, and it's all about developing a true campus environment, something that we've longed for, and I think this really sets the tone of what the next evolution and generation of CWI is all about. There's more in our campus master plan, as you can see, than just 2 buildings, and we completed a comprehensive update approximately 2 years ago, and true to what happens in our world day to day, the moment we completed the master plan, it was already changing. What you don't see currently in the master plan is another 32.5 acres, which the college acquired about a year ago to the north of this site. It literally now connects the north edge. For all of you facing south, it's directly behind you, the north edge of the property to Cherry Lane. So it's just another example of how things evolve and transform. But most importantly, it's what's our next step. And we are focused on 2 major buildings, which you can see here now. The first building that we plan to come out of the ground with is a comprehensive health science building, and then the second building is a student success center. Both of them are located on the south side of the canal, so obviously there's going to be other work that needs to go on to bring together the campus environment. The comprehensive campus master plan is relatively simple, and one of the core elements of that plan is traffic. And it's simple in its idea and concept of pushing vehicular traffic to the perimeter. You park, and once you come from the parking internal to the campus, you don't have vehicular pedestrian conflicts anymore. The campus is focused on a north-south quad and an east-west quad, and that's the orientation of where buildings will be developed. The next 2 buildings will begin to frame the first quad, which is the north-south quad. The health science building will bring together current and future programs into one location. Today they're distributed, and I think that many of you know that part of our environment has been that of distributed programs in other locations. The synergies that this will bring will be tremendous, and I think our partnerships with the hospitals and the local community will pay dividends. This will become a hub for health programs for the community and for CWI. Some of the programs will include our nursing program, which is very large and we hope to grow. We also will have certified nursing assist, phlebotomy. We will also have physical therapy assist. There will also be programs related to pharmacy technicians. So it really begins to encompass a comprehensive environment around healthcare. The building is planned to be 3 stories. It's programmed today, and it will be a comprehensive building that will, by and large, be lab space. And I think that's another tenement to how CWI is functioning and operating, is that hands-on experience and having that real-world experience and touch points is critical to how we want to educate and what our students do. The second building is the Student Success Center, and it really becomes the element of, both in terms of position in the campus master plan and what its intent is to be, and that is the hub for the campus itself. And it will encompass student programs and student services, including tutoring, counseling, advising. One Stop was mentioned just a little bit ago, so it's a centralized location for students to come. It will also contain, uniquely in that environment, a learning commons. New terminology in education that used to be known as a library. There is a library component in it, but libraries have become much, much more. One of the other things that you're going to see when we walk through the current academic building to my right is we really lack student services. So if you're a student here, one of the first things you realize is food is not readily available. And, and we do have food inside the building, but not to the level that it really provides for the kind of campus environment that we know we need to have. So we will also be relocating our bookstore, which currently is in our Micron Center, further to the south into this location as well. The health science building is going to be about 80,000 square feet, just to kind of put it into perspective. The building to my right is just a little bit short of 70,000 square feet, so it kind of gives you a scale and scope. The Student Success Center is going to be much larger, as you can see by the footprint, and it's going to be approximately 140,000 square feet. So both are very exciting projects. It'll begin to link that quad component. Obviously, we've got to cross the canal. There'll be a transitional element that will do that, but it'll be exciting. So that's our primary focus in the near term. The future development of the campus, you can see by the master plan, contemplates many more buildings and structures that will happen over a number of years, but there's great opportunity here for the future growth. So with that, I think we were going to transition to any questions that anybody may have.
Let me give definition to one thing that when we started up on a shoestring, literally getting off the ground and going. And what CWI was referred to in the startup phase was what's called a commuter college. And basically our students came, they took courses, they left. And we had a lot of people that even said, well, why aren't you, if you're offering online courses, why do you need buildings? You don't need any buildings if you're offering online courses. They're doing it all online. And one of the largest online programs in the country is in Arizona, Maricopa, and they have a huge 5-6-story building, which is support services. One of the key things that in a rural community or even in a small metro community, students like to connect. And whether it's in an open environment, a casual environment, and quite frankly, a lot of the classrooms are changing. There's not a whiteboard or blackboard at the front of the room. There's a lot of movement of desks and chairs and a lot of redesigning of how we offer coursework. But even then, students need to connect in order to get to make success and get themselves together. The Student Success Center is truly one of those key buildings that will provide students an opportunity to gather together, to share ideas. One of the biggest learning environments, I'll never forget going to a teaching and learning seminar in LA about 10 years ago, and the person presenting, they presented from 9 to noon. And this individual got up and literally lectured from 9 to noon about how lecture was the worst possible method of delivery. And I think hopefully we've learned something over that period of time, that a lot of it is putting students into groups, and a lot of what we hear from business and industry is we want students that can work in teams. We want students that can work together. Pretty hard if you're online to get them to have the experience of working in teams and working together, and it is critical for students to gain these kinds of skills as well as the technical skills that they need. Are there any questions at this time? We are planning a showcase to go through the student center real short, and go through the student center area, go through the math lab, which is our new innovative entrepreneurial system in terms of how we're trying to revolutionize remediation in mathematics like we did in English 101. If there are there any questions? Anytime you get 500 people together, it's hard to get somebody to ask a question. If not, why don't we go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back out. We'll be available for questions. Two groups. Also, I want, before anybody kind of takes off too, is I'm sure in your mind somewhere you're saying yes and. What about the Boise site? And if you're all from Nampa, nobody here may even ask that question. But since we will on August 8th, first part of August, we're planning a similar type opportunity down there to talk about what our site looks like downtown.